Evening all, and welcome back to the Kieran Climbing Racing Show. This time going through the weekend preview with races from Ascot and Haydock, including the Clarence House Chase, which may only be a 4-hour affair, but is an intriguing race nevertheless. And then plenty of other races to cover aside from that. There's 4 from Ascot and then 3 from Haydock. So we start off at Ascot. We start off in the 140, the mares hurdle over 2 miles, where Nurse Susan is in here, joint favourite for the Skeltons. Decent winner at Sandown last time, but I thought she needed every single yard of the 2 mile fall that day. Took a long time to get going. I just think back to 2 miles probably isn't going to suit, and I'd be willing to take her on. The joint favourite is Le Conquier, 9-4 for Jamie Snowden. I think this will be my selection in the race, and probably one of my better bets of the weekend. Was second in the Aintree Bumper, Mayor's Bumper at the back end of last season, and has since come on and won at Uttoxeter, first time up, where it was beat Dream Shadow. Dream Shadow obviously won first on was either Monday or Tuesday. Dream Shadow won at Ayr, and as the form obviously has been Frank there, and then she went on to win a listed event at Newbury the next time. She looks the one to beat. She's been plenty of talk about her. I know see some people tipping her up for the Mayor's Novice as well. She's got plenty of upside to her, whereas I think Nurse Susan, I know she's come back with a long layoff, so obviously run the back end in the Martin Pipe. I just think she's more suited to 2.5 miles. Joyeuse is in here. She's on a bit of a recovery mission after, and probably hasn't run a decent race since winning the William Hill Hurdle a couple of starts ago. But then again, Iberico Law wasn't very good, and he went and won well last weekend as well. So you never know with the Henderson JP scenario. But Le Conquier is definitely where I'm going to go here, and he'll probably be one of my better bets. She will probably be one of my better bets of the weekend. Currently 9-4, which I think is a decent price. We then move on to the 220, the handicap chase over 2.5 miles. 3 horses in here at the rear pose from the Ascot rate of over 2 mile 3, which was at the last Ascot meeting. That race won by Etalon. Scarface was second, and Bad finished 4th in the race. But none of them topped the market. The market is topped by Vincenzo of Sam Thomas's, second in both the Paddy Power and the December Gold Cup. I think it was a bit unlucky in the December Gold Cup, just didn't quite get the run through to have a chance to take on the eventual winner, Glenn Gooley. Maybe this is his time, maybe not. But 5-2, he could be plenty short enough. I think he's got the handicap and might have got a little bit of a grip of him as well. He's gone out for finishing, for not winning, which is never a good sign. Like I mentioned, Bad, who was 4th in that race, but is the shortest price of the 3. Is in there at second favourite, 5-1. I actually put him up that day at Ascot. I thought he didn't run his race, and I just think he's more suited to Kempton. I know it's both right-handed tracks, but I think he just needs a more flat track, which Kempton is, right-handed, to certainly look at his best. He's 5th in the Paddy Power. Didn't really suit him that well. He did very well to finish 5th, to be honest. And then, like I said, he was 4th in that race a few weeks ago at the last Ascot meeting. So I'd be willing to take him on. If he goes and wins, he wins. He's 5-1. Scarface again. He was second in that race at Ascot. Previously, was finished outside the frame in a race at Newbury, won by Boston Bob. Just couldn't take him either. The Tizard's horses seem to have gone a bit flat recently. They had a very good spell the early part of December, but they just kind of gone flat. I'm just going to side with the Skelton horse, the Etalon, the horse that won the race a couple of weeks ago. He's gone at £5 to that win, but he certainly wasn't stopping at the finish, and I think the extra 2 furlongs is only going to suit him better. This horse was bound to win a handicap at some point. He's been so well handicapped. I know he's getting on a bit, but he's been so well handicapped. And I think at 15-2, he's well worth a stab in a race which looks very tricky on paper. where I know Vincenzo has got the best form in the book with the seconds in the Paddy Power and the December Gold Cup, but is the handicapper caught up with him? And I'd be willing to take Etalon at the price at currently best price, 15-2. And then go to the 253, the handicap hurdle over 2 mile 3 furlongs, and came from nowhere is in here for Jeremy Scott as favourite 3-1. Winner at Hereford last time out, that was a class 4. This now steps up into class 3 company, and I'd be willing to take him on. I just think potentially he could be caught going up in grade. The same applies to Surrey Lord, who won very nicely at Kempton last time, and his 3 wins from his last 4 starts, so it looks very progressive. Just think this may be one step too far. Favois is in here for the Skeltons in the same colours as Etalon. Was 3rd in the Great Wood and then was 8th in the handicap over Christmas, won by Willful. Decent run. He's getting on a bit. I thought they might have saved him for the what used to be the Betfair hurdle, which I now is like the William Hill hurdle. I thought he might be safe for that as he's finished placed in that before. But he comes here. But the one I like, and he's a horse that I'm very much close to, and I love him a lot, and it's Tripoli Flyer. Coming back over, second start back over hurdles after a bit of a disappointing chase campaign. He ran in the Christmas hurdle where he finished 5th or 6th behind Sergino. That's not a bad run in the context of things, probably getting him back suited, back around Kempton. Comes here, right-handed track, stepped up in trip, which shouldn't be a problem. He was third back in the last season over 2 mile 3. At 2 mile 5, at Punchestown behind Final Demand. So the step up in trip shouldn't be too much of a problem. I just think he's far too big a price at 17-2. He's definitely an each way play in here. If he's anything back to how scintillating he was at this time last year, I think he'd take a lot of stopping, especially going right-handed. And 17-2, I know he's got top weight, but he's got top weight for a reason. He's a very, very good horse, and he's coming, unlike the 2 at the top of the market, they're going up in class. He's coming down into handicap company, and I think he is a decent bet for this weekend. And then the 3 o'clock, the Clarence House Chase, 2 miles. This will be short and sweet. Ilete Tomp will win again. Won the Tingle Creek very nicely, putting John Bon away in no uncertain terms. I think he'll just do the same thing again. You've got who else is in there? Gidley Park's in there. He's coming down in trip to 2 miles. He'll just get outpaced, and then I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, what's the third one? The fourth one. Can't remember off the top of my head now the other horse in the race, but I just think Ilete Tom 8-13. If you're wanting to back big at those prices, I'm certainly not. I wouldn't put you off. He should win. And then see how Cobden gets on John Bon, and potentially John Bon then may finally get stepped up in trip to 2.5 miles and go for the Ryanair, which many people have been banging the drum that he should be going up to that trip eventually, even with Factor File in the race. He should probably still run in that race, to be honest. So yeah, Ilete Tomp will win, and will win quite comfortably again, I would have thought. We go over to Haydock, 3 races over there to touch on. For the first, the 125, the novice hurdle, over 2 miles, which is a very interesting novice hurdle. I've got plenty of that I will keep an eye on in this race. Old Park Star is favourite in here for the Henderson team and Nico de Boinville, 8-11. Good winner at Kempton. The form was franked under on Swad, de Levy, and ran well in that race afterwards. Wandering Ego was 3rd. He's been a bit disappointing, but he ran a decent race that day, and then he couldn't do much better than the way he won at Cheltenham next time up. Old Park Star, very, very impressive. Threw his hat right in the ring for the Supreme. I know the form doesn't look the greatest. Like, the second has been beaten an absolute mile in the Form B. Glanced at midnight and finished 5th or 6th in the Form B. So hasn't advertised the form too well, but Old Park Star couldn't have done it much better. Would I be back in 8-11? Not in this field, not in a month of Sundays. Second in is Hurricane Pat. Decent winner at Sandown, very good, beating Sober Glory and Soldiers Reeves, obviously Sober Glory has gone and won yesterday. Soldiers Reeves is also in this field, who he beat last time out by 6 lengths at Sandown on the bridle. Looked very, very impressive. And the only issue with Hurricane Pat is that all his form is around Sandown, including actually winning a bumper there where he beat Old Park Star when Old Park Star was with Paul Nicholls. So yeah, those, if you was to go between these two, I'd certainly be wagering money on Hurricane Pat at 2-1 over Old Park Star 8-11. I'm quite surprised there's as much of a difference in the gap between them, to be honest. And then the other two that I will mention, just because I just think they're decent horses that deserve a mention in this race. Soldiers Reeves, like I said, who ran in that race at Sandown, he's got 6 lengths to find. But the Cheltenham race he ran in, the form can't be working out much better. The second, Gaelic Pride, has gone on 1 today. The third, Bestook Taylor, I'm adamant that this horse got handicapping him when he goes handicapping. Keeps running decent races every single week, every time he runs. And then I just think Soldiers Reeves will run his race, and then potentially there will be going handicapping with him. We'd like to see how he gets on here. And then Japatas of Nicky Richards is now. I put a tweet out a few weeks ago, this earlier in the week, saying that this horse potentially could be a supreme horse, and a few people were laughing at me, saying he'd get lapped and this, that, and t'other. But he looks a good one. He's won well twice at Market Raising, and the fact that they're throwing him in here, they must think that he's a decent animal, and this will certainly show how good he actually is if he gets anywhere near Old Park Star and Hurricane Pat. I think he can do it. I think he'll be in and around coming to the last. Whether he's good enough to beat either of them is another factor, but he definitely deserves his place in this field, and he's a very, very good animal on his day for Nicky Richards. So probably won't have a bet in the race, but I will watch it intently, and this will definitely shake up the Supreme Market, I think, after the race. We then move on to the 2 o'clock, the Peter Marsh Chase of 3 mile 1 furlong, where Maya Town is favourite in here for Lucinda Russell. Won the Ultima last season very impressively. Has only had the 1 start so far this year, and fell in the Hennessy very early on. Was meant to run last weekend at Warwick, but it was called off, so it comes here instead. Just think this horse is what price is he? 3-1. I think he's just worth taking on at 3-1, to be honest. Like, the stable form is absolutely horrendous. They're like 1 from 24 in the last 2 weeks. Form is horrendous. Like, would you really want to back this horse at this price? And the stable is so out of form. That's up to you. Whereas he's actually 2-1. Sorry, not 3-1. Second in is Confusion. Now, this horse won really nicely. It was a tipping on the only selection on Boxing Day. One of the selections on Boxing Day won really, really nicely in the Roland Merrick. Had won the Newcastle race beforehand, beating Deaf in Silence, who obviously went on to finish 3rd in the Welsh National, and Doc Pickney won well at Doncaster. The form of that race was strong. And if I was to pick out these two, Confusion would definitely be the horse I'd back. The only issue with this is they will probably potentially could take each other on for the lead. I know Maya Town likes the lead. He made pretty much all in the Ultima, and Confession did the same thing last time out in the Royal America at Weatherby. Just think, will potentially they cut each other's throats by taking each other on? Then again, that's the only reason why I'm not fully all guns blazing on Confession, just in case he does kind of get worried out of it in a battle for the early part for the lead. Johnny Hughes in here, second favourite. Now, if there is a burn up front between these two, then it probably would set it up for Johnny Hughes. But he's best fresh. He's only just turned around 4 weeks ago, so he's not as fresh as he could probably be. And he just doesn't like winning, does he? He just doesn't like winning at all, unless he's fresh first time up the season. That's the only time he seems to win. He always runs his race. He always comes late. I'm just not quite sure he's going to win this either. Like, if there is a massive pace collapse, then potentially you could pick him off late on, but like, surely not. Surely 7-2 is a ridiculous price about him. And then the next in the betting is Royal Bagai, the old boy who always runs his race at Haydock. I think he's won this race before. Obviously, loves the Betfair Chase, which he's won a couple of times. But yeah, there's just, I think it's between the top two, and as long as they don't take each other on for the lead or scupper each other's chances too much, I think you could see a good race between the top two. If I was going to pick out the two of them, it would be Confession. I just think, one, he didn't fall last time and was very impressive in the Royal America, and secondly, the stable form of the St. Russells is absolutely dog poo at the present juncture. The final race we're going to touch on is the 2:35, the 3 mile handicap hurdle at over 3 miles, and Dalston Lad is in here for the Skeltons. 130 favourite, handicap debut, up in trip after a decent win at Sedgefield last time out. He's got decent form in the book. He's ran at Cheltenham previously this season, and surely he goes and wins this. Surely, off like Tristan Durrell takes the ride, and this is just like it's like a broken record myself back in Skelton horses first time in handicap. Like I had two last week. One was third, one finished third, one finished fifth. Kempton. We're going to go in again this time with Dalston Lad and see if this one can pull the tune. It just looks so well handicapped on back form. It's up in trip. It doesn't look the best of races either. Like second in his Solus system of the O'Neill stable. One at the track last year. Last time seen actually. One at the track. No, it wasn't last time seen, sorry. One at the track of 2.5 miles on this card last year. Makes seasonal debut. I'd be taking him on all day long. The O'Neill horses they're only okay, but not 100%. You got Heather Honey in here, who got beaten favourite at Doncaster last time. Was okay at Catterick, won that really nicely. Couldn't have her. And then the one potentially that could take on Dalston Lad, who potentially could be a fly in the ointment, is Katara of Mal Rollis, 5th at Cheltenham behind Titan Discovery, and was 4th in the Potemps qualifier up at Aintree behind Impostoire, who's obviously gone on to win the what's the race? It's lost in itself now what the race is. Long walk hurdle at Ascot. So Dalston Lad should be winning this. Should. He's probably my best bet of the weekend. Actually no, he's second in. Third in actually. He's probably third in because Triply Fly is my best bet of the weekend. But yeah, Dalston Lad is definitely there. He's going to be high up on the pecking order, and if I'm getting a price of around 3 to 1, I'm going to be going in on that for sure. So best bets, I just pretty much summed them up. You've got the Conquier 9 to 4 currently. See what price she is on Saturday morning. She looks a decent bet in the 140, the Mare's Hurdle. Triply Flyer 17 to 2 currently. He's an each way play to nothing. I think he is a lot better than these in here. And if he comes back into the form he was at Punchestown and Musselburgh and even Kempton last season, then he should be far shorter than 17 to 2, and he should take a lot of beating. And then the last one is the Dalston Lad up at up at Haydock. I just think he is very handicap debut up in trip, just tick all the boxes, and away we go with that, and the Skelton bandwagon will roll on. I hope you all enjoyed the video, guys. Please like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, my Windsor video is up for tomorrow, which I recorded yesterday. If you want to go and take a look at that, for what I fancy for tomorrow's racing. But I hope you all have luck at Windsor and Ascot and Haydock on Saturday. I'll be back tomorrow to cover Windsor's card on Sunday. But until then, be good, guys. Enjoy your punting, and happy punting to you all.